Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Nuggets News. In this video, I want to discuss another really exciting project, and that's Nexus. Now, these guys are trying to create a fully decentralized global communications network. Now, the term Nexus itself means the connection or series of connections linking to or things, and that's exactly what Nexus team is setting out to achieve through the use of their ground mesh network and the launch of their Cube satellites into low Earth orbit. They want to create what they're calling a three-dimensional blockchain. Now, their mission statement here from their website is basically rebuild the entire internet from the ground up in a decentralized fashion to allow for communication between individuals that's free from government overreach, censorship, and we all know that the internet is gradually becoming regulated and controlled by certain authorities and powers that be. So, we'll talk about how exactly this network operates, the three-tier consensus model that uses CPU, GPU, and proof of stake mining, how you can build a reputation as a node to increase your rewards by securing the network, why this is the most secure cryptocurrency to date, how they plan to scale this network, and we know that all cryptocurrencies are facing that issue, the partnerships they want to build to allow for the hardware side of this project to smoothly roll out, and how it all ties together. So, recently we saw a big run up in hype and price leading into the Nexus conference a couple of weeks ago, and that's since died off. So, maybe the market was expecting more to come out of this conference, but I still believe this is a successful event, and the movement and the philosophy behind the core team here is very much in line with a lot of these names you're going to recognize on this list who have been advocates of this freedom and liberty movement over the years. And that's the direction that Nexus want to take this blockchain and their entire project and the network that they're building. So, the team itself is now up to about 40 members. I know there's a lot of contributors from everyday users as well as more developers that recently got added as a product of that conference. But the one I want to focus on mainly here is Colin Cantrell, the creator of Nexus, and he's the son of Jim Cantrell, who's one of the founding members of aerospace company SpaceX. Now, a lot of you are going to recognize that name through Elon Musk and Tesla, but Jim Cantrell actually sold his shares at SpaceX, um, co-founded a new company called Vector Space Systems, whose mission is basically to bring this space technology to industry and to the average user for them to benefit and to make this all affordable, because we know that governments spend millions of dollars on space research, but not so much in private industry and bringing it to the average user. So here's one of their Vector rockets, which is capable of carrying a few Cube satellites into orbit. I'll talk about the cost and how this all works as we move through the presentation. Now, for this to work, there's going to be 3 layers of hardware to ensure the network is running smoothly and we get good global coverage. So the first is the on-ground mesh networks, whereby a user can buy an antenna and run a node to give better coverage to those around them and contribute to the network. Now, the most important part of this network is probably going to be these Cube satellites to determine whether or not this project succeeds. And obviously, the final part is the ground stations communicating with those satellites, the up and down links to tie all that network together to ensure it's all communicating properly. Now, that's the hardware side of things. The next thing is obviously the Nexus blockchain and the software behind this project as well. So, as I touched on, this is currently the most secure blockchain with the hashing that they're using. And the other thing that makes this so secure is basically the 3-tier system. So by having GPU, CPU, and proof of stake, that model creates it so much harder for a 51% attack that we know is possible on other blockchains. All 3 of those vectors would have to be compromised for someone to attack the Nexus blockchain, I guess. So there's a number of other features I might talk about as we move through, but basically the 1024-bit hash as well as one-time keys all contribute to making this the most secure quantum-proof network. Now, I might speak about how the quantum computing argument comes in a bit later in that presentation, but the next thing I want to talk about is this lower-level protocol library and these templates that they're building to allow for, I guess, a foundation to be built for developers and adopters of this technology to build on top of, which allows for the acceleration of mass adoption if more people are going to use this as the new internet. And a lot of the protocols that you use to create projects on the current internet are based on those that have been around for decades since the internet was first evolved. So by building an entire new foundation from the ground up, as they're calling it here, it allows to streamline the process and the development for those that are building those layers on top of the internet. So here's a good article here talking about this lower level library and these templates that are going to benefit all these companies that are going to build on top of the Nexus framework. The lower level database there, encryption, hashing, protocol, serialization, types, and utilities. So all these templates that allow for ease of use, those that want to use this technology. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about here is that brute force attack, which is possible once quantum computers are rolled out to solve these algorithms and private keys that a lot of cryptocurrencies are currently based on. Now, the Nexus private keys, their algorithm key, this is all degrees, orders of magnitude more difficult that makes their protocol quantum resistant once we have quantum computers out there. I guess the next thing I'll touch on here is the comparison between Nexus and Bitcoin in this chart, but this applies to any cryptocurrency really. So we spoke about how that private key is larger, making it more secure, faster transaction times, the 3-tier system of CPU, GPU, and proof of stake mining. So as nodes stake coins in their wallet, which I'll touch on next. I'll give you a look at the Tritium wallet, which is the next upgrade that planned to be rolled out in the near future by the Nexus team. So as you stake, you can build a reputation over time. And those staking rewards start off at 0.5%, but once you've been staking and securing the network for over a year, that increases to 3%. So it's an incentive for those to continually support the network, which is a fantastic idea. Anyone can stake from their wallet, which I'll touch on in a second. So quantum resistant, efficient and scalable. So this network is designed to organically scale as more users come into the ecosystem. The difficulty adjusts each block. Plenty of things to like about the scaling side of this blockchain, which are going to make it very usable as the number of transactions increase across the network. So the next rollout is called Tritium, and I guess there's a couple of planned upgrades here. I've got Amin and then Obsidian, and these are just the names, just like Ethereum. Next upgrade is called Metropolis, which I've covered. So the next upgrade for Nexus is called Tritium. Now, they're saying that this is going to be capable of doing 100,000 transactions per second on-chain. So a lot of other projects are going for speed and increasing the number of transactions per second off-chain through those Lightning networks and side channels that I've spoke about. But the Tritium upgrade, there's a sneak peek of that Tritium wallet, the staking interest rate, okay, transactions, connections. So pretty exciting stuff. I know they've been working on this for a few years. As I said, I expect development to speed up now. There's more developers on board, but this is the much awaited Tritium update that's going to give a complete overhaul of the code base, basically, and be set to be rolled out in the very near future, I believe. So here's a few key features that we're looking forward to. So reversible transactions and two-way signatures. So a lot of people accidentally send money cryptocurrency to the wrong address. Now, by having an expiration time attached to a transaction, you've got a time whereby you can reverse that transaction before it gets broadcast to the network. Now, that's going to allow you to reverse if you accidentally make a mistake. And the same way that two-way signatures are going to require the receiver to sign the transaction before it's broadcast to the network, that means that if you don't want to receive coins from someone, a malicious donation or something along those lines, you can refuse to receive a transaction. Or if you send a transaction to an address that doesn't exist by accident, that's not going to be able to be signed on their end. So those coins in both instances will bounce back to your wallet without clogging the network with a transaction, which is a fantastic feature. Obviously, those trust networks, I guess that's related to that feature I just spoke about becoming a trusted node to increase your proof of stake rewards. Synkless wallets, so you don't have to download the entire blockchain. Double spend protection. I've spoken about those lower level library templates and how they're going to make the network a lot friendlier to use for average users. The next thing I just want to touch on is how this project is going to work and criticisms of the project. So one criticism we've had is that maybe this is impossible to do. It's too far-fetched, the idea. So the Vector aerospace company already have a lot of patents in place. So this technology has been tested. They have launched these rockets here with the Cube satellites on board. So this isn't just a white paper. Now, I've run some rough numbers and it costs about, let's use $1 million to launch a rocket. Now, each of these rockets can carry up to 6 Cube satellites. We need over 1,000 Cube satellites to secure the network from space. So that would take about 200 rockets. Let's call it $200 million. Now, I think that is very doable. When we look at the market cap of some of these larger coins, okay, we know there's several coins now in the top 10, or all the top 10, sorry, over $1 billion market cap. So $200 million is very doable, I think. And a lot of people write this project off as soon as they hear about it because they say, no, that's simply going to be too expensive to do. So the next criticism we've had from the Nexus team is lack of updates and open communication. So I know recently, okay, they do give some updates on their Twitter, but they have, oh, sorry, I'll just jump over to Nexus here. They have started giving updates through Discord. So Discord, Slack, Twitter, Reddit, I know they want to be more active on those platforms because a lot of users have been complaining about lack of regular updates from the Nexus team. And I know that that's something that they want to address moving forward. So keep an eye on their Twitter. Watch for that regular newsletter that's coming out now. Join the Slack and Discord channels if you want to keep your finger on the pulse. Finally, the last thing I just want to touch on is the market cap. So I said we've fallen away from, $3.70 leading into the conference all the way down to $1.25. And if you're going to invest in projects, this is the time when sentiment's bad, when the price has fallen away. I added this one to my portfolio today at $1.25. So this isn't very widely traded still. Another reason to like it. I purchased this one on Bittrex today. Look, the 24-hour volume on this one is absolutely tiny compared to other coins. So another reason I like it, it's got plenty of room to grow. I love their mission statement. I like the philosophy behind the team. If they can pull this off, okay, they're going to have one of the most technologically advanced frameworks or infrastructures on the planet. And it's going to allow for all of us to use it in a way that's currently maybe not possible to use the internet through all that censorship and regulation. So really exciting project, one that I like. I'm hoping to have the guys on soon to interview the team to answer all your questions. So leave those in the comments below. Please hit like, subscribe if you haven't already, share these videos around, and as always, thanks for tuning in, guys. Cheers.